Are we still here? This is a monumental speech by Frederick Douglass about what's the meaning of 4th of July and Independence Days for the United States of America. This speech was did in, I believe, 1852, given in 1852. Will we feel the same way in modern times as Frederick Douglass felt at this very moment, this very hour? In 1852, slavery was still in existence, fully still in existence. As we know, slavery wasn't abolished went through the law to 1864 and was put out of place in 1865. So everyone was free at that time, free from the constraints of slavery. And now, this is years before that monumental court case and the breaking of slavery, abolishment of slavery was in existence. So this is during slavery. Although Frederick Douglass was a free man, he still came from the lineage and the life of slavery, the sacrament of slavery. What do you feel about this speech? Let's react to this video together.
We begin with the words of Frederick Douglass. Born into slavery around 1818, Douglass became a key leader of the abolitionist movement. On July 5th, 1852, in Rochester, New York, Frederick Douglass gave one of his most famous speeches, "What to the slave is your 4th of July?" He was addressing the Rochester Ladies Anti-Slavery Society. This is James Earl Jones reading the historic address during a performance of Voices of a People's History of the United States. It was co-edited by Howard Zinn. The late, great historian introduced the address.
Frederick Douglass, once a slave, became a brilliant and powerful leader of the anti-slavery movement. In 1852, he was asked to speak in celebration of the 4th of July.
Fellow citizens, pardon me, and allow me to ask, why am I called upon to speak here today? What have I, or those I represent, to do with your national independence? Are the great principles of political freedom and of natural justice embodied in that Declaration of Independence extended to us?
Right there, guys. This is the opening. Do you see? He is acknowledging when he says he greets them as his status, but he also at the same time acknowledged the position that he at this time. You remember, this is the 1800s, this early 1900s. Late mid 1900s. This is the time when there was definitely a stark difference between black and white. Blacks was in slavery. Whites ruled the world inside the United States of America. There was the power, there was the existence, it was all well at that time. If you were classified as under the disguise as white, then you received supreme consideration. And so he had to acknowledge this, and he was speaking on the part as a slave, because this was during slavery. This was during the full operation of slavery, 1852. So this is kind of, as a free man, it's a two-sided coin. And what is your opinion? It's a two-sided coin. One side is he's recognizing his freedom amongst these people, as whatever freedom that is, because it's definitely not exact the same freedom as a full European would receive. And he also is recognizing the enslavement of his ancestors, of him. He was born a slave. Can you imagine that this gentleman, it's Frederick Douglass, was a slave? So as he speaks, he's speaking from lived life experience. And he's acknowledging, would you agree with this or would you not? Let's continue.
Am I, therefore, called upon to bring our humble offering to the national altar and to confess the benefits and express devout gratitude for the blessings resulting from your independence to us?
Right there, that's a great question. At this point, the independence is about you. But the slave is still not independent. The slave is still not free. So how do you ask a slave to speak? But at the same time, you got to remember, this is a platform. So Frederick Douglass is a famous person in that day, and they wanted him to read. They chose him to read. But he is acknowledging slavery, taking this platform and establishing about slavery, what's happening, and showing the dire separation between his community and the community at large, and the diverge of both. One is living a life of chattel slavery. The other one is living a life of freedom and liberty and abundance. So this is very interesting. What is your opinion at this point as I delineate that question that Frederick Douglass has asked the public that he's speaking to at that time, the audience? What would you say at this moment?
I am not included within the pale of this glorious anniversary. Your high independence only reveals the immeasurable distance between us. The blessings in which you this day rejoice are not enjoyed in common. The rich inheritance of justice, liberty, not mine. You may rejoice, I must mourn.
What do you see? This kind of speech is kind of for the white person. It's very white American. It's very it's very awakening, I would say, to the American, because as they got this famous Frederick Douglass speech, this is an opportunity to keep awareness of what's happening in the South of the United States of America. This is slavery is full operational at this time, full operational. And these people are in torment. Another human is tormenting another human just because of the systematic oppression that's been placed on them through the created system inside this United States of America. And he's saying he should mourn when you receive from your forefathers all these benefits, all bequeath to you all this independence, all this sunlight, and here I am in darkness and slavery and mire and disaster. What do you think? What should I feel? Should I be joyous? Or should I speak the way I'm speaking to you presently and feel the way I feel? As I stated to you, I should mourn. It's very interesting. What do you think? What's your opinion?
To drag a man in fetters into the grand illuminated temple of liberty and call upon him to join you in joyous anthems were inhuman mockery and sacrilegious irony. Do you mean, citizens, to mock me by asking me to speak today?
Do you see how Frederick Douglass has delineated? He said, do you mean citizens? He's not a citizen. But in this Independence Day, he is asking the question, do you mock me for talk about independence when my community at large majority is in slavery? It's only a few people in this time, 1852, that were free, that was in America, born in America, that had to be of his hue, color, skin tone, ethnic background, that were free. And now you want to speak. A question, would you ever speak? I don't think I think I would speak for maybe being Frederick Douglass was known as an abolitionist. I would speak on the grounds of it's a good space to motivate the hearts of the white man in the North, and also hopefully some that was secretly in the South, and maybe they would fight for the equality and freedoms that they receive for another human being that's considered chattel. So this monumental moment, he's actually, are you making mockery of me? Are you making a mockery of this whole national group of people, this whole people, millions of people in slavery? Are you mocking them as though this is a joke, talking about independence, talking about liberty, talking about justice, when they're being beat and worked to death and put in all kind of situations through the experience of being a slave? So this is very interesting what he said. What is your opinion? What do you think? I always come back to this. Give me your opinion. This is a good statement. This is a good way to ask that question. What is your opinion? Let's continue. Let's continue. We're almost there.
What to the American slave is your 4th of July?
I'm sorry I had to stop that. That's a great prompt. Look what Frederick Douglass stated. What to the American slave is your 4th of July? Now, we're talking about 1852. This is during the epicenter of slavery. We're in 2026 now. I took this clip to talk about what was happening back then and what was at that moment, because people study these books and read it and they bring it in today's time. Basically, my question is slavery still here as it was then? No, we're all free. We all have liberty. We all have freedom. We have justice. But people still talk as though they're living in some form of slavery. But it's the same what Mr. Frederick Douglass was speaking on in 1852. This is where the road divides. The generations have moved on. The laws have changed. But in this time, in this moment, this is the epitome of the black experience inside the United States of America in the southern antebellum South. Let's continue.
I answer, a day that reveals to him more than all other days of the year the gross injustice and cruelty to which he is a constant victim. To him, your celebration is a sham. Your boasted liberty, an unholy license. Your national greatness, swelling vanity. Your sounds of rejoicing are empty and heartless. Your denunciation of tyrants, brass-fronted impudence. Your shouts of liberty and equality, hollow mockery. Your prayers and hymns, your sermons and thanksgivings, with all your religious parade and solemnity, are to him mere bombast, fraud, deception, impiety, and hypocrisy. A thin veil to cover up crimes that would disgrace a nation of savages.
How do you rebuttal this? How do you rebuttal what he just saying about it? If you was in the era of white America in 1852, you can classify it as a savagery because you had another group of human beings that's on the same mass of land that was experienced the most horrific crimes against humanity. It's amazing when you really think about it. I wasn't in that era. I'm not of that era. So all I can look from is from a historical lens. And I'm in a whole different world in 2026. So this is amazing to see what them generations in the past had experienced, what they were tolerated, what they went through, and just the hypocrisy that was happening in that day. That's amazing. This gentleman, Mr. Frederick Douglass, could speak up and eloquently describe descriptively what was happening in that moment of time inside the United States of America in 1852. This is amazing. He was looking at on a macro level. He's not on a micro level. He's not individually pointing at one person. He's looking at a systemic system, and acknowledging what's happening in 1852. I don't know if I can do that. Could you? This is brave. They probably had so many people that want to, do some horrific things after this. It took a lot of courage for Frederick Douglass to make this statement so eloquently and directed towards the most powerful group at that time within the United States of America, and where his group was at that present time. It's a bravery to make this statement. It's amazing to walk that very thin line of truth to power, speaking truth to power. Would you have done it?
There's not a nation of the earth guilty of practices more shocking and bloody than are the people of these United States at this very hour. At a time like this, scorching irony, not convincing argument, is needed. Oh, had I the ability and could reach the nation's ear, I would today pour forth a fiery stream of biting ridicule, blasting reproach, withering sarcasm, and stern rebuke. For it is not light that is needed, but fire. It is not the gentle shower, but thunder. We need the storm, the whirlwind, the earthquake. The feeling of the nation must be quickened. The conscience of the nation must be roused. The propriety of the nation must be startled. The hypocrisy of the nation must be exposed, and the crimes against God and man must be proclaimed and denounced.
Powerful. Powerful. I don't know what to say, no more, no less. He's saying there must be a destruction to bring the conscience into awareness, to wake you up out of your stupor of intolerance, of blind willfulness, ignorance, ignorance, turning a blind eye to the crimes of humanity that you could just look at presently in 1852, in that hour. He said earthquakes. This is crazy. That was what needed. Are we living in that time today? I say America. Are we living in that time? Should we be addressing these issues? Is there some of the issues that's not sent to slavery? Nowhere near. Well, others will say yes. I will say no. But we have grown as a nation. We have come together in many ways. We have a lot of more improvement to do inside the United States of America. But we are a nation. We are a beautiful nation. We at our most highest good. And that's what I believe. the morality, the higher good of humanity inside my nation, which is called the United States of America. I believe in humanity. I believe in God's creation, that we can soar to the highest heights of freedom, liberty, and the pursuit of property and happiness. It's up to us. And this statement was major. I don't believe we're in the time of the 1852, which we're not chronologically in time, but we are still experiencing, and people are still experiencing, through the legacy of slavery, some of these residue within the family lineages of different individuals. They're still experiencing the aftermath or the shockwaves of the earthquake that's happening. And we got to help the lower groups in our society to rise above that. So I'm experiencing the aftershocks of alcoholism, mental conditions, emotional conditions. There's a lot of things we have to do to improve. But we're going to be all right as a nation. We're way away from where we was in 1852. We've become a powerful nation, a young nation, and we can grow, we can learn. We're now walking on our 2 feet. We only just been around under 500 years. Under literally 300 years. So we're a young, new nation, and we're growing, we're learning, we're going to make mistakes. But can we have an open heart and love in our heart for our fellow man to give back and to support and to help grow? This was a great speech from the abolitionist Frederick Douglass. I hope you learned something from this. I learned a lot from this short speech. And leave your comments down below and let me know what you think. Have a wonderful day.
James Earl Jones.